Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
Hi, this is Kelly.
And this is Jenna.
And you're listening to ODFM.
This episode is One Dildo from Murder. We are back to talk about the murder of Shannon Starbuck and Shanine. And they have just ruled out the two likely suspects that they had, the two men that she was...
Suitors.
Yeah, dating, sexting, meeting up, hooking up, getting jiggy with it, whatever you want to say. You know,
good stuff.
They both had alibis, and the person who didn't have an alibi was her ex-husband. But according to him, they were like practically besties, right?
But we're so close, even though we're not married.
So close,
yeah,
right?
we're such good friends.
So they decide, police are like, maybe we should investigate a little further, right? So maybe talk to some other people and see what they had to say about their relationship, right?
Yeah, let's check this out.
Shannon's family and friends said that the relationship from their side was not the same.
Yeah.
Clay
Weird.
was controlling, jealous, and it was not an amicable divorce.
Okay, I'm finding so many red flags already.
Right, exactly.
Lie.
Exactly. They mention that the police need to look into the fact that Shannon's home had been broken into several times that year.
Oh.
But these were strange break-ins. Nothing was like broken into. It was just someone had been in her home.
Yeah.
Either very small, minor things were missing or moved around.
Oh, that creeps me out more than like a burglary.
Exactly, right? But
creepy.
nothing was stolen in the sense of, hey, she's been burglarized, right? Someone just kept going into her house, and it was freaking her out. She had filed police reports. They had the police reports, right?
Oh, well, did they find those before? They had to be told.
I don't know. This is how they found out. Whatever.
Oh.
She said, someone's in my house. I can tell that someone's been in my house. And she suspected it was her ex-husband.
So she did think that.
I guess they investigated. I mean, this was a different team of people. This wasn't like major crimes. This is like burglary or whatever. And they're like, nothing came of them, right? Clay denied the break-ins.
Of course he did.
He said at least one of the times that she said the house was broken into, he could prove he was in Alaska.
Well,
yeah.
right. But was your back hurting at that point? Because maybe you weren't really.
Right. I don't know. Right.
Interesting.
Shannon told friends and family that she was scared of Clay. She was convinced that he was breaking into her house to freak her out, to unnerve her, to spy on her, to see what she was doing.
Good Lord.
Maybe just to let her know, hey, I can get in here if I want to.
I can still kind of control you from afar.
Exactly, right?
Creepy. And would that be why he only moved, a mile away from her?
Right?
That he could be close to still try to control things.
I thought that was weird. I'm like, if your job is in Alaska, why wouldn't you move to Alaska? I mean, I get that he was still going to see his kid. I don't know. That was another thing that
seems like he wants to keep her close so he can keep an eye on her.
Keep an eye, right? So, especially for a guy who wasn't so concerned about being there as an everyday dad. Now he wants to be there.
For the first, how many ever years? 10 years or so? Yeah.
So, according to Shannon's siblings, Clay was really jealous and controlling, and that it was what they were told was the reason for both divorces was Clay accusing Shannon of cheating on him.
Oh, geez. He's so paranoid that.
Right. Now, granted, he was up in Alaska and she's like in a different state.
Yeah.
Really far away. But
5 kids.
With 5, and all her free time.
Yeah. He would have more opportunity for sure than she would have.
Right. I would think. Right. They said that the second divorce was very contentious, messy, just mean. There was a lot of tension
But I thought they were besties.
Yeah, well, see, that's not what they had to say. Her friends were like, no, there was a lot of tension there. They testified that Clay had refused to pay Shannon the child support and maintenance that he owed her, and that he owed her over $9,000 at this point. By the time of the murder, he was behind $9,000, right?
Oh, yeah. He wasn't making payments.
He blamed it on being on disability. She was going to food banks using food stamps. Her mother and her siblings sent money to pay for her rent, her utilities.
Oh, man.
Her mom paid for her to go back to school so that she could support herself, have a career to support herself. He made it sound like, oh, yeah, she's going to go back to work. It's going to be great for all of us. I totally support it. That's not how
That's not how it really was. Oh.
Then her school friends told police that Shannon had showed up to school one day and was like really upset.
Uh-oh.
And when they asked her what was wrong, she said that she had found a gift bag hanging on her doorknob that day.
Ooh.
With a note from Clay that said something like, and the girl kind of paraphrased and said it was like, if I can't have you, enjoy this. And inside was a sex toy.
I knew it. It wasn't flowers.
How? I don't.
That's.
It's not normal for your ex-husband to gift you a dildo. That's
and
not. And
also, it seemed it wasn't out of kindness. It was,
no. The message was creepy.
It was salty.
Leaving it on the door handle, I don't know. There's
like your kids
so much
come
about
home.
That. Right? It was.
It's just mean. He's just being mean,
controlling. It just really. I don't know, man. Doesn't sit right. Another one of her good friends commented that there were a couple times that Shannon made the comment that, she was afraid Clay might hurt her or kill her.
No.
Unfortunately, her friend thought she was being overly dramatic.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well, we always think that until something
like this
happens, right? She told police about a time that Shannon had come out of the house to find that all the windows of her car had been shot out while it had been sitting in her driveway.
Okay, that's not being dramatic then. This is a real threat.
Right.
Somebody's shooting.
Not right. So, and here's her ex-husband saying, we have this great relationship. He's not worried about what's going on over there. I don't know, man. It just doesn't. Right. I remember Clay used to live at that house. So she ended up having the locks changed. And it was reported that she didn't even give copies of the keys to the kids because she was afraid that he could get them.
Absolutely. They could go to his house.
Exactly. Make a copy, sneak one, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This is when investigators are like, all right, we're going to look a little closer into Clay's alibi. His whole walking back and forth to the car thing, right?
Yeah. Could we do that, please? Because maybe there's cameras somewhere on that street or something.
Exactly. So first they talk to people. They can't find anybody that says that they saw him. And he walked back and forth 4 times, right? Someone should have seen him, right? All right. The other thing that was weird was his phone was off. Why is his phone turned off, right? Okay. They also can't use his cell phone to ping a location and see where he's at, right?
Wow.
This is weird. They did find a house, like you said, with a camera on it that pointed at the street, a security camera.
Okay.
And they went through the video, and that is where they said Clay told them that this is where he walked back and forth. He took this street. Mm-hmm. He wasn't on the video at all that day.
Weird. Huh, Clay?
This is right. This is weird.
Where
right? So
did you go?
They have kind of like a motive. He doesn't have an alibi, but it's still not enough to arrest him, right?
Yeah. Needs more evidence.
Well, 2 months after the murder, the lab results come back on the swabs from Shannon's neck. And they had taken some from under her fingernails, right?
Oh, good.
And they had tested some other stuff at the scene, right? There's all kinds of stuff, Some of the results came back as unknown male. Okay, that's not helpful.
Which, she's got kids that live with her too. And
right, exactly. But they did get a DNA profile that was developed from a process known as YSTR DNA. You can tell this is the part that I got from the Forensic Files episode. This process targets the Y chromosome found in male DNA. And the profile came back as a match to male Starbuck DNA. So not a particular person, but someone within the Starbuck genealogy or gene line that was a male.
Okay.
And like an adult male is the way they made it sound. So, because they're like, okay, so we're talking about Clay, Austin, who's 21, and Blake, who was about 18. Okay, right.
It's not likely they're going to put, well, you never know.
Oh my God. I can't even
know.
go there, right? Both of the older Starbuck boys had solid alibis. One was at work and one was at school at the time that they estimated that she died. So on February 6, 2012, police arrest Clay Starbuck and charge him with Shannon's murder.
Thank God.
The problem here is now all the underage Starbuck children have no guardian.
Oh, shit. See all the problems you cause when you do this shit.
Right. Shannon's siblings in Florida wanted to take them and
Mm-hmm.
get them away from Washington, get them away from everything that happened and all this. But the oldest son, Austin, who was 21 and who happened to be a new dad, don't know if he was married or not, didn't catch that part, but happened to be a new dad himself, petitioned the court for guardianship to keep them all together.
Wow, that's sweet.
So that they could fight for their father's innocence.
That's not sweet.
Right? And they were determined to do that, even if they had to drag their mother's name and reputation through the mud.
Oh, no. Why? Is he manipulating them? Oh, no. Oh, no.
This was my thought. I have
like brainwashing.
Many situations where families have split apart and one parent poisons the kids against the other. It's not, unfortunately, that uncommon.
I know.
The older boys became very vocal about what they considered their mother's double life.
Oh, no.
So, you know, I watched a Dateline, so we have Keith Morrison here.
Oh, I love Keith.
And there were lots of interviews, right? And Austin and Blake spoke with him on several occasions. You could tell because their hair changed. And then, right. And Austin told Keith Morrison that his mother had multiple personas. She had her mom, home, church personality, but then she had an online dating personality that was the complete opposite of what she presented to the rest of the world.
Well, if that's true, that should be easy to find.
Right. Okay. They also commented that they're like, well, Keith, you know, I mean, this is Dateline and we've seen To Catch a Predator. That's on NBC. You know how this pans out. You know, people have sex with people they meet online and they meet.
And they die.
So that, right. That was basically.
Wow.
Their mother was asking for it. To put it. I mean, that's not what they said. But
that didn't even like go in my head. Like, who is asking for it? Nobody's asking for it.
No, but that was kind of like, well, you know, they were obviously irritated. They came off as irritated with her for putting herself in this position.
What? Wow. Yeah, that does sound manipulated. It doesn't sound like.
They believe she was basically, you know, playing with fire. Austin swears that he figured out his mother's secret double life when he was 8 years old. He didn't say how or what made him think that, but he said he had her figured out when he was 8.
Is that because Dad told you?
So I was trying to do the math there, right? So they got divorced after 10 years of marriage. And if he was conceived on their honeymoon, when he was 8, that was like the 8th year of marriage. If shit's going downhill.
Yeah, it's going to start to.
Right? Is Dad feeding him some things, like asking him to look for certain things, pointing? I don't know, man.
Wow.
I don't know.
Because, yeah, Dad's a jealous, controlling dude. And he always suspected her of cheating. So.
Right. Austin swears that she had a string of men for brief relationships.
Okay.
There was no proof, right? This is just the kids saying what they saw. Okay, whatever. All 5 Starbuck children believed not only was their dad innocent and that he still loved their mother because he told them that he still loved her, right?
Well, if that's possible, but.
He was the one made to feel miserable in the marriage.
Okay.
That she would periodically leave their dad, take the kids with, and go live with other men for short periods of time.
And they say they remember this.
They say they remember this. Okay. All right. This is weird. This is strange. But their dad loved her no matter what, and he would always take her back. So she would leave, and then she'd come crawling back, and he would always take her back. Her dad, Clay was the guy. He was
just
the man.
Phenomenal.
He loved her, right? And he even told them that through the divorce, the last one, the messy one, the really nasty one, right? that he still loved her and he would still take her back if she decided she wanted to stay.
Wow.
That's what the kids said.
He sounds like a god.
But then there was another hurtful thing that kind of came out with all this.
Uh-oh.
When they were doing all the DNA testing, they had to test all the kids because they had to identify all the DNA they found in the house. Turned out the youngest child, Marshall Starbuck, the youngest boy.
Eminem.
Yeah. Turns out Clay wasn't his biological father.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is believed that he was conceived during the period in which they were divorced.
Right.
So after they got divorced and then they got back together, there was no information. It seemed like Marshall was surprised by this information.
Oh.
But it is unknown if if they were divorced, right? And this happened, if he was conceived during the divorce period, right? There's no reason why she can't be having sex with somebody else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So she gets pregnant. Did Clay know Marshall wasn't his kid? Did he know that? And they just decided, you know what? We're still going to get back together and we're just going to assume.
Pretend. And yeah.
That wasn't brought up. So I don't know if Clay knew.
Yeah, that would corroborate what the kids are saying.
But this is how Marshall finds out that that's not his dad.
Oh, boy. And that makes you feel even worse. And,
so now he's
more
lost
critical
his
of his mom.
I don't know who my dad is. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and now I'm more critical of my mom because...
Clay's explanation for his DNA found on Shannon, because they said, well, it's got to be him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so of all the Starbucks, there was Clay Starbuck, who's a male. There was Austin and Blake, right? Then there were the two girls, so it couldn't have been their DNA. And then the
Marshall.
only other one was Marshall, and Marshall isn't a Starbuck.
Match. Yeah.
Right? Okay, so they're like, it's got to be Clay's DNA.
It has to be.
So his explanation is, I lived at that house. I
knew he was going to use that.
Right?
I knew he was going to use that. Yeah.
Right?
But it's on her.
Also said
she took a shower.
Just because she took a shower. It should have been fresh, right?
Yeah.
He said that just because he and Shannon had been divorced didn't mean that they hadn't been intimate still, even as recently as just a few weeks before her murder.
Even as recently as minutes before her murder.
What? Except that they said that she wasn't.
Except they didn't. Yes.
Right. So he knew not to leave that. Whoever knew not to leave that DNA. Right. This is where it starts to get hairy,
muddy.
Right? Ugh. Yeah. So they're saying this could easily be a casual transfer of DNA, right? Or any of the male children. The younger ones lived there. There was all this talk about how, the younger kids, including Marshall, would wear his older brother's hand-me-downs. That had their DNA on it. Then Marshall would wear it. Marshall lived in that house. I mean, there was all this,
intermixing of...
It wasn't... They didn't think it was the smoking gun that they were trying to make it out to be, right?
But wouldn't the tissue under her nails? I mean, that would mean you'd have to I don't know.
None of that was specific. They never said in any of the articles or anything what they found under her nails other than unknown male DNA.
Oh, shit. Ooh, she didn't get enough. Right?
That was their explanation. The prosecutors disagreed and they're like, I don't know, man. She took a shower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone had to leave. This was fresh DNA, right? It was on her neck. You wash your neck in the shower.
Absolutely. I mean,
there shouldn't be anything. And if she hadn't gotten dressed, how would that have gotten? I don't understand.
Totally.
The murder trial begins May of 2013. Clay pleads innocent. All 5 children are supporting their father. They're all sitting behind him on that side, which is really rough because Shannon's mother, their grandmother, their aunts and uncles, they're all on the other side, on the prosecution side.
Splitting the whole family.
Oh, it was horrible. It was just horrible, right? The prosecutors present the jury with a timeline and a theory on what they think happened to Shannon, right? They figure on the morning, December 1st, Clay was supposed to take the kids to school, but instead he texts Shannon saying he's got car trouble and asks her to take them so that she'd be out of the house.
Oh, so he could slip in there. Oof.
So he can slip in there. We already have, we don't know, but we suspect that he does this all the time. He knows how to get in there, right?
She thinks he does, for sure.
So he goes in and waits. She comes home, goes to take a shower. When she gets out, Clay attacks her. At some point, she must have tried to grab her phone to call 911. He gets the phone, turns it off. Then there's a lot of time unaccounted for, right? And it was apparent that she had been beaten severely.
Right. Tortured,
right? Then there was cleaning up.
Oh, right.
The bed sheets got... So even if he attacked her, he must have attacked her on the bed, on the sheets, then moved her, put the sheets in the wash, washed off the washing machine, or cleaned off the washing machine and everything, lays her back out on the bed, poses her. So he must have turned on her phone and started going through her text messages and was like,
I can use this.
Okay. Right. This is a good way to point attention away from me and throw somebody else under the bus. Right.
That is bananas.
Plus, if he has this really big jealousy thing and he doesn't like this new personal life she has, well, hell, I'm going to embarrass the fuck out of you.
Of course. Oh, and know that information is going to get back to your kids.
Exactly. Right.
To demean her even more. Oof.
Just horrible. Right. So he's like, great. Then he sends several messages from Shannon's phone. So it's likely that Clay was still in the house when John Kenline came and knocked on the door twice. I was just going to say something about cars in the driveway, but he probably walked because, his car broke down. His car
broke down and didn't want to leave.
Well, and he snuck in, so he wouldn't have wanted her to know that he was there. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so Clay gets on her phone. He's texting people from her phone because somebody texted John Kenline and said, "Did you come to the door?"
Oh, who was that?
And then, how about you come later?
Oh, God. Probably hoping that he would find the body or something and be at the scene.
That means he was the one who texted himself saying, "Can you pick up the kids?"
Yeah, just to make himself look like he wasn't at the scene.
All right. So basically now he makes it look like he's kind of like changing the time of death. He's establishing his alibi. He's putting the attention on somebody else. So the jury gets to hear the 911 call, the very, very brief 911 call. There wasn't much to hear. It was really just, it sounded like someone had their phone in their pocket. You hear kind of like a woman's muffled like moan or cry or I don't know. It was, it was just very, it was just very short. And then that was it. Then the detectives get on the stand and they testify to the fact that they had a bad feeling about Clay from the get-go, right? Because it was just weird. He showed up, which he hasn't talked to his wife in 2 days. He asks cops to go over and do a welfare check because he doesn't go over there himself.
Right, which seems But
then after
weird.
2 days, he does go over there himself and he's surprised to see that the police are there. Oh, Jesus. That was my dog.
It was loud on my end. I heard it.
Holy crap. Well, I didn't know she walked up next to me and then shook. You scared the poop out of me. We're talking about murderers. Don't do that. So God, they thought something was weird. He was like, okay, so he was upset that his ex-wife was found murdered. Okay, that's legit. He was really upset. Like he almost collapsed on the ground. He kept going on and on. Like they said, they're like, we've done this before. We've
seen it. We've seen real reactions.
This seemed a little
before.
over the top, right? And this is I'm gonna come back to this too. His reaction, how emotional he was, right? They said he was crying hysterically. All right. They're like, okay, this is strange, right? They also found it really odd that after they finished the interview and they're like, okay, you're free to go. We'll probably want to talk to you again. He wouldn't leave.
Oh, I don't want to go.
Talking.
I want to know what you know.
But
so he's doing that overshare thing that liars do.
So he kept what he kept doing was he kept telling them, you really need to look at her phone and her computer. Everything you need to know is going to be on her phone and her computer.
How do you know that?
That's very interesting. Also, they were like, we will. But they said like,
he was very insistent about it.
Right. They said like, the detective put it like, I couldn't get rid of him, which was odd. Usually people are like, I want to get out of here. Like,
they want to leave.
Anymore, right? He wanted to stay. He goes, but he didn't share anything new. He just kept pushing the whole check her phone and laptop, which, dude, by the way, I can't do while I'm sitting here with you. Just saying.
Yeah.
So we will go, right? I mean, he was really pushing the she's doing stuff in her personal life. You need to go check that out, right? They have Shannon's friends and family testify to Clay's controlling behavior, how he's like practically stalked her, terrorized her, unnerved her, withheld money from her, owed her $9,000. So, you know, if Shannon wasn't there, he wouldn't know that money anymore. So that's possibly a motive right there.
Free up his life a little.
They brought witnesses to testify that Clay was jealous that Shannon was dating and moving on.
Mm.
They had a couple people coming up and talking about how just the way he talked about her, he seemed very obsessed with her personal life and that she was dating. Like, just like going on, you know, where you just want to be like, you're divorced.
Yeah, move on. You guys obviously both agreed to this divorce because you signed the papers. So get over it.
But yeah, he just was always complaining about how many men he thought she was seeing.
Oh, Lord.
And this was really weird. One of the kids' teachers actually got on the stand and said she heard Clay say something to the effect of, I wouldn't be surprised if we found her dead with her throat slit open.
Wow.
Who says that?
Wow.
In a setting. So I'm guessing this is like at an open house or a conference or something where he's like,
and he's talking shit about his wife. He's talking around shit all these about kids.
Exactly. His ex-wife to the teacher, basically like talking shit about like her personal life and stuff, and saying that
trying to make her look bad.
Right. She's going to get herself killed.
Oh, that's super sussy, dick.
So they get John Kenline to come up and testify, which, you know, by now I'm sure his wife knows. You know, and his school. I don't know if he kept his job or anything, but
we're not keeping your secrets anymore, John.
Dude, right? He testified that, yes, he had a sexual relationship with Shannon. Yes, he'd been to her house, and that he had received text messages from her after the time of the 911 call when they had determined was likely
when she got killed.
And that one of those text messages was asking about them getting together later. Possibly to lure him to the house.
Yeah,
was
make
that
sure
to
he's
put him at the scene? Right, exactly. You know.
Yikes.
Right, really weird. To further prove that the prosecution believed it was Clay who had Shannon's phone, they entered into evidence a text message that was sent at 3:06 p.m. from Shannon to Logan Starbuck. That's the daughter, one of the kids that need to be picked up.
That's right.
And it said specifically, send Marsh a note. Dad will be there in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Couple weird things about that. First of all, it was widely known that Clay used Marsh as a nickname for Marshall. He was one of the few people who did that. Okay. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a really weird nickname, but they made a point to be like, this is something that he would say, right? Okay.
Makes sense.
They kind of made it sound like Shannon never called him Marsh. Right.
Okay.
Something they didn't bring up in any of the episodes or anything that I found really strange was if Logan had gotten that text message, why did they think that their mom was coming to pick them up and not their dad?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, Clyde also disagrees. Here, go.
He's like, no.
He's mad. He's like, no, this is sussy. So I found that really weird, but they didn't talk about that at all. And I was like, she got a text message from her mother saying, Dad's coming. Let Marshall know Dad's coming.
Right.
And no one seemed to question the fact that the last text message that she sent was to Clay saying, can you go pick up the kids? Was his phone still off? Like, because he obviously didn't go get them.
No, nobody got them.
Right. It was that all of this really bothered me.
Busy doing laundry.
He was so many things. Things didn't add up still. All right. So it was the prosecution's view that Clay Starbuck had been a jealous ex-husband, killed his ex-wife to get out of paying her the money he owed. They brought up, she was killed in a very brutal, very personal way. This is somebody who was angry with her. This is somebody who had...
somebody needed to get back at her.
And she had been very grotesquely posed in a way to shame and humiliate her. That would have been someone who wanted, this Who else fits the bill?
Right. He's shown to many people how much he was angry with her, how angry he was.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. And then the other thing that they kind of threw in there is like a dun dun dun. Mm. The prosecution presented to the jurors that detectives, when they had gone to Clay's house, they found Shannon's
dildos.
Sorry. Oh. Different D word. Death certificate.
Oh, yes. Well, that's even more damning.
Her death certificate had been pinned up on the wall.
Whoa.
Weird.
Not cool, dude.
No, so all the kids are there living with them, and there's their mother's death certificate just boop, up on the wall.
Yeah, okay. Like an accolade of some sort. Like, oh, achievement. Look at my achievement.
That's what they said. They were like, this is like a reminder of she's not longer a problem, right? Okay, so that's how it was presented to the jury. Clay Starbuck had public defenders. It was their feeling and their defense that they were going to put on, which was that investigators ignored Shannon's double life and the risque dating that she did and all this, right?
Because it's legal. There's nothing wrong with it.
Anything wrong. Right. Okay. She's a grown woman, man.
It's not illegal.
Allowed to have sex twice. She's allowed to date. She's allowed to have sex with different people, whatever she wants to do. It's her prerogative, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean she should be killed. Okay. So they believed that investigators just laser focused in on Clay from the beginning and ignored everything that was on the laptop.
Okay. Seemed like they looked into it all, though.
They believed, based on what they found on the laptop, that Shannon was a sexual deviant involved in risky behavior.
Okay.
They thought that they had evidence to show that she had purely sexual, casual relationships with men that she barely knew, that she met online.
That's not illegal. Once again.
They found evidence of videos, photos, sexting.
Still not illegal.
Still not illegal, right? And they said that they verified that there were at least 10 different men that Shannon had been communicating with in November, the month leading up to her
Get it,
murder.
Girl. Yeah. I mean, nice. Impressive. Right? Okay.
So she had been communicating with at least 10 different guys. She was on multiple dating sites, right?
That's kind
not that hard to do.
Right. Par for the course when you're trying to check out if someone's dateable.
Right. And that they believed there was evidence that she had met up with many of them in person. Now, I don't know how they proved that she met up with them and just had sex. I don't know how you could prove that, but
still don't even see the problem here.
Right. They're
just trying to sully her.
Exactly. So they criticized detectives for not following up on what they considered multiple potential witnesses that they just didn't even look into. They looked into the people that she talked to that day, and that was it, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, and of course, her family was horrified because they're like, that's all you got, right? You're just going to try to go after her.
Yeah, just try to make her look slut-shamer, basically.
Exactly, right? Just before they were about to put on their defense, the judge ruled that the laptop evidence was inadmissible.
Yes.
Because it was speculative and prejudicial.
Yes. Yes,
so the jury didn't hear any of it.
Good, because it's bonkers. It's just stupid. Prejudicial is the perfect word for it. Yes. Trying to make someone look bad.
Right, exactly. I mean, the crime scene did enough damage, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to go any further there, right? The defense team had to quickly change their tactics, right? And be like, well, shit, we're not allowed to present any of this stuff.
We can't slut shame her anymore. Damn it.
Exactly, right? So they went after the police investigation.
No, yeah, well.
Right? They claimed that there was only trace male Starbuck DNA on Shannon. Could have come from any of them at any time. They all lived in the house. It was all over the house, right? They're like, that's not enough.
She's not rolling around on the carpet right after the shower.
They said it could have happened anywhere, whatever. Okay. So they also claimed that the police screwed up because they didn't test all the evidence that they collected. Like they went on and on about, well, did you test this? And no. Did you test this? No.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know exactly how it works. I can't imagine that they have the ability to test every flippin' thing that they find if they don't have reason to.
Right.
It's not the only murder. There's only so many labs.
No. All right. Well,
they made a point in the Dateline to say that one of Shannon's fingernails tested positive for blood, but they didn't test it for DNA. I found that.
Yeah, that's strange.
I get it. That's weird.
Of course, maybe they all had the same blood type, so they're like,
I don't know, man. It was that. I mean, I guess that was
everybody
weird,
in the house,
right? Okay.
Yeah.
They pointed out that some of the swabs came back with unidentifiable male DNA. Could that have been Marshall? I don't know.
Yeah, you never know.
But they said that some of that unidentified male DNA was from Shannon's cell phone, that they swabbed her cell phone and her neck.
Okay, that is a little strange.
I agree. That is a little like, that's weird, especially if Clay was on the phone texting. But I mean, based on the fact that they didn't have any fingerprint evidence and they said that the washing machine was wiped down, I assume he cleaned up after himself or wore gloves.
Absolutely. That's what I was thinking. The gloves afterwards.
Right? They did find someone, which, by the way, I found very strange. He had a different accent, but he looked a lot like my dad. That was really weird. They found a guy to testify.
That's your dad.
It was really freaking weird. I'm like looking. I'm like, same glasses and everything. It was very odd. I was like, what were you doing there? So they found someone to testify that they did see Clay's car on the day that he said it was broken down. All right. Well, it could have been left there. I don't know. I mean, he wasn't in the car. He was at her house. The car could have been left somewhere so that it looked broken down. I don't know. But somehow the defense found a witness to say
somebody.
that we saw his car on December 1st. Okay, cool. They had Austin, the oldest son, testify that his father regularly turned off his phone during the day because he didn't want to be disturbed while he was sleeping. He was resting a lot because he had just had surgery on his back.
But you can also put it on silent, even back then.
Right. I don't know. I have a problem with that because I just feel like as a parent, man, shit can happen. You need to know you cannot be out of touch. I get that you need to get some rest, but man.
But there's no way.
That one bugs me. Don't turn off your phone.
Not as a parent. Yeah. Especially if you're partly the guardian where you need to be picking up possibly or having things taken care of.
Right. That just is one of those things that irks me. Like, man, if you have to be on, then you have to be on. I'm sorry.
You really do. It's not like you have shifts. You really do have to.
Right. You don't know.
Be there all the time available.
So it's also my anxiety. I'm just like, if I turn off my phone, that's when I know there's going to be an emergency.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be able to sleep. So, yeah.
So they said, okay, so, he had this back injury. They also had Clay's doctor testify that there was no way he would have been strong enough to beat or strangle his wife because.
But he's strong enough to work on his car.
They didn't mention that, right?
Okay.
But he could walk a mile 4 times back and forth uphill in the snow like they did in the old days, right?
Yes.
And that was barefoot. Fine. Barefoot. Don't forget the barefoot, right?
I mean, that
was
critical.
like, okay. And Austin testified that the death certificate that was pinned on the wall, that was actually his copy that he had because he was the executor of his mother's estate. And that where it was pinned was actually in the closet of the master bedroom. And he pinned it there so he wouldn't lose it because it was important to have it. And that closet door locked and they used it as a gun safe.
Yeah, that's still, no, it just makes it even weirder. I don't get it. All right.
I don't know.
These are very elaborate excuses as well.
Okay, right. Here's something we don't hear all the time. Clay testified in his own defense.
Oh, great. Let me hear. I can't wait to hear this. This could be good.
All right. And this is where I feel like his emotional state comes in.
Oh, yes.
The grieving, overreaction.
You've got to put on a show.
Right. So, well, no. See, that's the thing. He was like super duper calm. Like, just unflappable, just very straightforward, not emotional, just answered everything. Very patient, just like he was testifying for something that had nothing to do with going away to prison for the rest of his life. It was
weird.
It was, to me, it was very strange. They didn't talk about it. I thought it was weird. He testified that he never actually told the detectives what streets he walked on when he was walking back and forth to work on his house. So that's why he wouldn't have been on that video camera, because the street that they talked about, he's like, I didn't tell them I walked down that street, and I didn't walk on that street.
But police take notes during interviews or have videotapes. So
that was weird, right? He said he was out of work with his back injury, so he had no money coming in. This is why he had fallen behind on child support, right?
Okay.
This is why he was obviously so supportive of his wife his ex-wife going back to school to bring in money to help support their family.
Yeah.
And that any negative comments that he made to people in regards to Shannon's dating life were out of concern.
Oh, yeah.
Concern for her, concern for like what she was doing and what she might be introducing to their kids. You know, just, it was concern. But it was all he was just,
it was out of love.
As a cucumber, man, right?
Oh, no. So I take it he didn't come off well to the jury.
I don't know. He came off as he didn't come off well for me. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't know. They didn't say anything. Clay and his attorneys, despite the fact that they couldn't drag Shannon's name through the mud, right? They felt that they had done such a great job poking a hole in the prosecution story. They were like, we got the reasonable doubt thing down. There's no way. They were so convinced that the defense team encouraged Clay to sit down with Dateline and have an interview. His first on-TV interview before the trial was over.
Oh, my God. So maybe these were first year.
I don't know, man. I was just like, really? I didn't think you were even allowed to do that.
Yeah, go tell your story all over the place.
Right.
Let's see what inconsistencies we can find.
They haven't, like, what is it called? Convened.
No.
No.
Oh, my God. Okay, so, great. Let's do this.
There's a whole interview with Keith Morrison.
Yes.
And
here come the holes in his story.
And he is calm, unrattled. So, Keith Morrison is like, so you're in the fight of your life here. And he's like, yeah, and he's like, it's your position that the police botched this. Oh yeah, they botched it. It was, I mean, he is so,
but not worried about it at all.
The same guy who was hysterically crying and collapsed. It just was so,
just not very upset about it now. He got it all out.
I found that so weird, right? He just was very calm about, like, the police wanted me to be the killer. They steered the investigation that way. They made the evidence fit. He said, he's like, I moved out of the house in June of 2011 and she was murdered in December. So my DNA was all over the place there. Plus, we had been intimate since the divorce after I moved out. Intimate, or did you break in and move shit around?
Yeah,
who's to say?
I guess that's kind of intimate, but one-sided.
Right.
One-sided intimacy.
Right? He also claimed that, like, those times, even those were casual. He was actually in a long-distance relationship with a woman in Alaska.
Okay. Why wouldn't he? Again, why aren't you in Alaska? What?
It was so weird. It was like, so you're in a relationship, you're cool with having sex with your ex-wife while you're in a relationship with somebody else.
And you're not being judged about it. But...
Right. And it's cool if you and your ex-wife still hook up every once in a while just to fulfill each other's needs, but she can't go see other people. It was just so, man, this shit isn't lining up, right? It just wasn't lining up, right? The thing that was so weird was even Keith Morrison in the interview made a comment about how even-keeled he was.
Really?
Because
you don't seem upset.
Well, he was pushing. He's like, so they botched it, right? So this is upsetting. So, like, you weren't angry, you weren't jealous. And he was so like, no, I'm just like the nicest guy, right?
I'm chill.
The best part was Keith Morrison goes, you're a really hard guy to argue with. Because it's like he just kept saying, because he wouldn't take the bait, right? He wouldn't fight. And Clay replies, I'm an easy guy to argue with because I don't argue. And then Keith goes, that's the problem. It makes you crazy. Yeah.
I want to get info out of you.
It was so, it was like he just had such a hold on his emotions, on what he let out and what he didn't. To me, it came off creepy.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
It
like
just,
disingenuous.
Mm-hmm. Right. It was just like, I don't know, man. So all these other people are lying that you're going around bad mouthing her and stuff. Right. I don't know. It was just so, it just, yeah. So, and wait. And then this is what sealed the deal. This is the same part of the interview. Clay says he wasn't angry or jealous, just disappointed, which I was like, oh God, that's like that classic parent.
Yes.
Thing. I'm not mad.
Absolutely. I'm
disappointed. Right.
I've
Where he just
said it
did
before,
that. I'm not going to.
It's true.
I know. Right. And he says this and he goes, especially when their younger daughter told him that she had found explicit images on her mother's computer.
By searching on the internet?
I don't know. I don't know if she opened it up and I don't know, there was some sexting. It didn't say what it was. Didn't say if they were images of her. I don't know if she opened up the laptop and some guy had sent her mom a dick pic. I don't know, right? But
also, they're never wanting a dick pic. Okay.
Right.
But
nobody wants that. Nobody's asking for that.
Nobody.
Please do not send.
Don't. Stop it.
Don't.
I know you think it's impressive.
It doesn't look
it's
how
not.
you think it looks. It's more like a
Okay.
So, right, especially when we're talking about somebody who obviously has a dildo to compare. Don't you can't measure
compare.
Up. Don't
no.
Stop. All right. So anyway, all right. So I had a really hard time with the fact that he was just so even toned talking about how his young daughter saw a disturbing picture and told her dad, and his response was he wasn't angry.
I'm just disappointed.
He was disappointed. I was
and that's weird. That would have been more of an angry situation.
I would have been like, dude, if you're going to fuck around, keep your shit away from the
windows.
Kids.
Yeah, close the windows, erase your history.
That didn't sit well with me. I was like, I don't know, man. I'm just disappointed.
I'm disappointed. No, you're not.
Plus, you probably just ruined that child for life. She's like,
real.
No, you know what? I think I'm going the other way. I'm not feeling it.
I'm not.
Or you know what? I can wait.
Yeah, I don't. For sure, wait. Not
wait.
Interested.
Okay, so he was, the interview ended. He is super confident. He even tells Keith Morrison, because he's like, so you think you're going to be reunited with your kids, soon? He's like, I think I'm going to be reunited with them next week. He was absolutely sure he was being acquitted.
Okay.
June 2013, Clay Starbuck was found guilty of first-degree murder and sexually violating a corpse.
Wow, good.
Right?
So, you're not getting reunited anytime soon. I'm just saying.
And it was after only a day of deliberation.
Jury was not.
No, they were like,
not kind to him.
We're not buying it. And he was sentenced to life without parole.
Ooh. Sheesh. They were serious.
They were serious, right? Clay, of course, filed an appeal.
Yeah.
Basically saying that they didn't allow us to, there was all this evidence, they didn't allow us to enter into it, right? The police obviously didn't test, all this stuff, right? So all the things that he couldn't use in his defense, all the stuff that wasn't presented to the jury. After 2 years in 2015, he lost the appeal.
Oh.
If I understand the articles that I read, he has not been allowed contact with his younger children.
Wow, good. I mean...
I don't know. Well, not to them. They still believe their father's innocence. Shit. After all of this, all 5 of them are completely convinced that their father is innocent.
And is it that kind of mob mentality? Like, if I disagree with my brothers and sisters, they're going to look down on me. And so they're all trying to
I wonder,
still back him because of each other.
That's a good point. This was also kind of interesting. During one of the interviews with Keith Morrison, the second oldest, Blake, had a completely different theory as to who killed his mother. He believes she may have been killed by the serial killer Israel Keys.
Well, that came out of nowhere.
Well, that's what I thought, right? Now, we haven't covered him because he's...
pretty well known.
He's pretty well known, and we try to do the weirder stories and stuff like that, right? Basically, what he was saying was Israel Keys wasn't found or arrested or discovered or whatever when they charged, I guess probably arrested the first time or whatever, until a month after Clay was arrested.
So he had opportunity.
According to Blake, Israel Keys wasn't a possibility. They were laser focused on his dad, right? And that they didn't change their mind. Once they arrested their dad, they didn't look into anybody else. And that Israel Keys had confessed to a number of murders that have not been confirmed.
Okay, yeah.
Confessed to a whole bunch of stuff, and they're like, we don't even know. And he had said that he murdered 4 people in Washington.
Okay.
This is his evidence, right? He also noted that Israel Keys was from a town that was not far from Deer Park.
All right, well.
So that's Blake's theory. That's all we got. But so everybody else is thinking their mom met up with some weird guy from the internet.
Right.
Blake is going serial killer.
Nope, we're going serial killer.
All his eggs in the serial killer basket, right?
Okay. And I don't remember all of Israel Keys' MOs, but whether he raped his victims, was that?
I don't know a lot about him either because I haven't looked into him personally. But again, it was very personal. Someone would have had to know her to position her like that,
to humiliate
her that way. It's just not as...
It doesn't seem like random.
How would he have gotten in there?
That's true. It wasn't a breaking and entering.
I do remember Israel Keys is the guy that used to have kill kits that he had hidden all over the country so that when opportunities struck, he'd be ready.
Be able to use those. Yeah, that doesn't
why would he sneak into this woman's house? I don't know, man. That one was just a far-fetched one. There is one other more recent update to this story that's kind of a sad one. Okay, so in December of 2021, Clay and Shannon's daughter, Logan, who in 2021 was now 25 years old. Okay. This has been a while, right? She was reported missing.
Oh, what?
Okay, so it was reported that Logan was on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
Had a caretaker, but she was very determined to be self-sufficient. She had recently moved into her own apartment. Oh. She was told that she wouldn't be allowed to drive, but she worked really, really hard to get her driver's license.
Yeah.
Ended up getting her driver's license, had a job, had a car.
Dang, she was doing it.
She was doing it, right? Okay. And a year before, so this would have been in 2020, she started taking testosterone and began transitioning. And she had come out to her family to say that her goal, that she wanted to transition, and it was her goal to have surgery, and they were supportive. I want to say, because I don't want to offend anybody, that the article that I read, they used the pronouns she and her in describing Logan, because I was like, should I be saying they or he? I'm not sure.
Right.
But that's what they used in the article. And Blake was interviewed in this article, and in all of his quotes about Logan, he referred to her as a she or her. So I'm just going off of what they said, right? It's possible that because she was missing in the article, it said that they were mentioning that she was transitioning because she didn't dress in a feminine style, but that she hadn't been taking the hormones long enough that she still looked very feminine, because they were trying to make sure that people would know what to look for as they were trying to keep an eye out for her.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's why they kept with the she and her. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. Just wanted to throw that out there. Austin reported that Logan had been having a very difficult year in 2021. She had been in several fender benders. Her license got suspended, so she lost her job.
COVID.
She went through COVID, right. She went through a painful breakup.
Oh, no.
And then in December of 2021, when she went missing, that was actually the 10th anniversary of her mother's murder.
Okay, yeah, that would kick things off.
A lot kind of happened, right? Okay. And, obviously not long after that, she ended up losing her dad because her dad got arrested and then...
Right. So your whole life is upended.
Upended, right? And I am sad to report that in February of 2022, Logan's body was pulled out of the Spokane River.
Oh, no.
And they determined that she died from an apparent suicide.
Oh, how
so
sad.
This whole situation, just tragedy on top of tragedy. Right? So that was a really sad ending to this, because I was just trying to see if there was any updates or whatever. And I was like, what is this?
You just see how it just ripples down to...
Oh my gosh. I mean, that family was completely divided as soon as it was like, who's on Clay's side and who isn't. You know?
And maybe Logan felt different about it, but didn't feel comfortable.
You're right. What if any of those kids were like, you know, I could see it. Maybe dad did it, but you don't feel like you can say that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Oof. I don't know, man.
That's rough.
So that is one dildo for murder. Never did I think I'd find a story.
Yes, but you did
that was based around sex toys. But
you did it.
Mission accomplished.
And this poor woman. Ugh, what a way. What a way to go.
Oh, horrifying, man. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, God.
Not cool, dude. Not cool, Clay.
No.
You suck ass.
Yeah. Would you like to hear my sources?
Oh, gosh. I really think I need to because I think I need to watch
You're going to have to watch me. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So Forensic Files 2. So that's the new version of Forensic Files that came out. So it's season 1, episode 11 called Last Gasp because I guess they assumed the 911 call was a gasp. It didn't sound gaspy to me. Yeah. It sounded more like a moan or a cry or a poodle. You know,
as a poodle. You reconstructed it as a poodle.
Right, I did, right? I highly suggest watching Dateline Secrets Uncovered, season 9, episode 19, A Cold December Morning. Which I feel like...
They all?
I just was like, really? You guys couldn't come up with something better than that? We got dildos in this story.
We got dildos.
You went with Cold December Morning? You think I was going to go 1 December with this episode? No.
No. All days in December are cold.
Right.
But
right.
Okay.
I mean, that's just how it is, right? Okay. Findagrave.com, because I had to get some information on Shannon. NBCnews.com, and then the Spokesman Review.com. Okay. So, yeah, perfect. That was
it's a good story. Holy moly.
Crazy story.
Very convoluted. Like so many different avenues.
Right? I mean, I was like, it was the ex-husband. And then I was like, oh, maybe it's not the ex-husband. Then I was like, oh, it's the ex-husband. Maybe it's not the ex-husband. It's the ex-husband. I don't know, man. There's too much about it. Doesn't sound right. It's just
even knowing that he was the jealous, angry type really puts him in focus.
Well, it just goes so far against everything she said about him. And then how he presented himself, so calm and stuff. Except at the murder scene when he lost his shit and was over the top with it. Which someone who comes off as being having such control over their emotions, but then like the police are like, okay, man.
You got no control.
Like, right. Okay.
Which one's an act?
Another tissue? Like another? Like
here's another box. Here's another box.
Did we come back? Like,
my guess is you're not really this sad.
Yeah.
Especially with all the bad stuff you had to say about her. So
I know. It's just, things didn't add up. So anyway.
Well, good story. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for listening.
We achieved dildo. Is there any more we can do?
Level dildo unlocked.
Level dildo unlocked. Is there another level we shall discover next time?
I don't think we're really leveling up. I think we're leveling down.
Oh, are we?
It's a down level.
We're not even staying stable. We're just.
I think we're going. Okay, I don't want to say we're going down. I don't think we should say going down. I think that's bad.
Oh, that's bad in this one. No, but you don't need to when you've got a dildo.
No, right. I mean, that's the beauty, right? Okay. Anyway, all right, cool. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yes, come back next time to find out if we can find any more devolved names.
Awesome. Bye.
Cool.
Hey, Oddies. Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM. If you're a longtime listener, hey, we cannot thank you enough for your continued support. And if you're a new listener, thanks for giving us a try. If you like us, please drop us a like, subscribe, or rate us so we can share our stories with more people around the world. And if you'd like more information, like links to our podcast and socials, along with our Patreon fan page, those links are all on Linktree under ODFM Podcast. That's linktr.ee/ODFM Podcast. Side note, you guys, we're obsessed with fan art, and we love making things with it, like stickers for our fans. So if you'd like us to use your designs, send it to us at odfmpodcast@gmail.com. And if we use your design, we'll be sure to send you a sticker.
Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful or disrespectful.